फिर से करके गया, फिर से करा।
कैसे उठेंगे बिल्कुल। I was 23 at that time. She was 21. 1979, 1st February 1979, I got married.
तो आपने उनको शादी से पहले देखा था कि नहीं देखा?
नहीं देखा था, सिर्फ फोटो देखा था उनका।
फोटो देख के शादी कर लिया था?
1979 में तो जल्दी शादी होती थी, तो उस टाइम में हो जाती थी। She was very confident lady. She was not dependent on physically or mentally. Very sharp mind, very good decision making. Common sense was very good in her. What my children are, it's because of her only. Because जिस तरह की education, जिस तरह के संस्कार उन्होंने दिए हैं, I think that was a, I think we have gratitude towards her, and I used to love her a lot. चाहे उनको she नहीं, आप झूठ बोल रहे हो, but I used to love her a lot, and she has given me everything in my life. I think sometime I feel कि the way I am living now, the way I have become a different type of person. It has this her association with me has added value to my life. So I am indebted to her.
I was extremely close to my mother, and most of my childhood memories in general they involve my mother. She was very close to her children, and her life revolved around her children.
And anyway, it's like a mother-daughter relationship is always very close, because she actually used to see herself in me. So she used to share everything, and she had been through some hard times, so she always counted on us as a pillar for her.
Now if I look at a few photographs of the past 2 years before she fell ill, I think it had all started because her face, if you see the face, there's not much of a freshness on it, and you can see the prognosis of the whole disease there. The way we discovered it was like we had this takeaway food from outside, and she always used to have this acidity problem. So after having that, she had acidity, and I think the pain started, and it wasn't so severe. But in the middle of the week, what happened was that her face got a little distorted in the lips. We used to joke that she was imitating Sylvester Stallone because he has this lips, he had the mouth distortion on one side. So, but later we came to know, because when she used to have those seizures, it used to happen again. So after that, it was a Saturday, it was the 10th, and that night the pains got even quite a lot.
हम लोग पास में ही एक हॉस्पिटल है, हीलर्स हॉस्पिटल, तो इमरजेंसी में लेके गए थे। डॉक्टर ने कहा कि काफ़ी वीक हैं, तो इनको आईवी फ्लूइड, ग्लूकोज वगैरह हम लोग दे देते हैं। तो शी बिकेम स्लाइटली बेटर और स्लाइटली एक्टिव। तो डॉक्टर ने कहा कि क्योंकि अब ठीक है तो थोड़ा खाने के लिए भी कुछ देते हैं, तो मैं ऐसा करती हूँ कि इनको सूप मंगा देते हैं, टोमेटो सूप। आधा पीने के बाद शी अगेन स्टार्टेड वॉमिटिंग। डॉक्टर ने जो देखा कि इट्स क्वाइट एबनॉर्मल, इतनी सारी दवाइयाँ देने के बाद भी जिसमें उसमें तो उससे ठीक नहीं हुआ और फिर वॉमिटिंग किया है। तो शी सजेस्टेड कि उनको एक दिन आप यहाँ पे रखिए, हम लोग इनका इन्वेस्टिगेशन और करना चाहता है. He said let's do the CAT scan. तो मैं उनको लेके जा रहा था व्हील चेयर पे कैट स्कैन रूम की तरफ. तो जैसे ही मैं उनको कॉरिडोर में लेके और उसमें लेके गया तो सडनली शी स्टार्टेड सेइंग पिताजी कहाँ हैं. तो वो आई वाज सरप्राइज्ड कि अरे, क्योंकि उनके पिताजी की डेथ अबाउट 10 साल पहले हो चुकी थी. सो इट स्टक इन माई माइंड कि अरे आई डोंट नो, देयर मे बी समथिंग सीरियस विद हर. सो मैंने उनको बोला कि नहीं, कहीं नहीं है, यहीं पे हैं वो, तो चलते हैं कैट स्कैन. तो मैं कैट स्कैन रूम में लेके गया उनको. तो मैं उनके साथ में ही खड़ा हुआ था. डॉक्टर आस्क्ड मी टू बी देयर एंड बाहर ग्लास विंडो के साथ में ही कंप्यूटर पे 2 other doctors were seeing the CAT scanning live. But because it was a closed room, so I was not able to hear them what they are saying. CAT scanning होने के बाद then I started talking to the doctors. They said there is a problem in the brain. It may be a tumor also. तो नेक्स्ट डे हम लोग उनको MRI के लिए दिल्ली लेके गए. वहाँ पे it was confirmed that it is GBM. It's grade 4.
Doctor sir, what is GBM?
The full word is glioblastoma multiformis. That means glial cells which are multiplying very fast. Now, this is the highest grade of the cancer of the brain, and in spite of good removal, in spite of good radiotherapy, in spite of chemotherapy, there are several research on chemotherapy, radiotherapy, still the survival is on an average is about a year. And that survival is with surgery, with radiotherapy, with chemotherapy, all 3.
But at that time we were not so aware that it can be so serious. So next day when I was sitting in the corridor waiting for, then my brother came. मेरे brothers वगैरह doctors हैं. मैं स्टूल पे बैठा हुआ था and he put अपना हाथ रख के कंधे पे कि तुम्हें हिम्मत रखनी पड़ेगी. It's a disease which is not curable. So meanwhile हम लोग Dr. Minocha also and other, they suggested there is a very good neurosurgeon here in Paras Hospital. You immediately shift her to Paras Hospital. So in the evening, me, Gudiya and my brother, we went to Dr. Mehta.
He saw the MRI in front of him like this. I was looking at his face. So the moment he held it up, he said, "Oh my God." And it's like there's no hope. So then he shared the whole thing with me, with all 3 of us, and he gave us our options.
उन्होंने कहा कि राइट हैंड साइड में है और टेम्पोरल रीजन में है उनका जो ट्यूमर है. तो ये उनके बिहेवियर को अफेक्ट करता है. तो जहाँ पे भी है, द प्लेस वेयर द ट्यूमर इज़, इट्स ए सेफ प्लेस ऑपरेशन करने के लिए, ये भी बताया उन्होंने. और उसके बाद उन्होंने 2 ऑप्शन हम लोगों को दिए कि या तो आप कुछ मत करिए तो 3-4 महीने लाइफ हो सकती है, और अगर आप सर्जरी के लिए जाते हैं, रेडियोथेरेपी के लिए जाते हैं और कीमोथेरेपी के लिए जाते हैं, देन द लाइफ इज़ अराउंड 11 to 12 months. बट उसके साथ साथ ये है कि अगर आप सर्जरी के लिए जाते हैं तो the whatever life she has will be a much better life. The quality of life will be better.
Our duty is to give the perfect picture, the positive point, negative point, and then patient and its consequences of not operating, consequences of operating, both should be known. I mean, our aim should be that we do a maximum removal of the tumor in malignant tumors and complete removal in benign tumor without producing harm.
First is immediately we are getting further life for her. That was the first. We have to go for it. There is nothing. We don't want that she lives like this and she stays with us for 3 months.
We just can't not try.
We will
That's
try
the whole
everything, and we are getting her company, or we are getting her for 11 months or 12 months. That let's make that period good for her. So that was our decision at that time.
So the biggest decision we had to take was whether to tell my mother about it or not. And we all decided that we would not tell her about it. I think I was initially opposed to that decision of keeping my mother in the dark, but in hindsight I think that was the right thing to do, because if the person loses all hope, if I put myself in that situation where everything, the whole world for me is going to end is imminently going to end, that I think takes away a person's will to live like nothing else.
बिकॉज उसके अपने सपने थे कि मेरे बच्चे ये होंगे, मैं छोटे छोटे बच्चे होंगे, मैं ट्राइसिकल लाऊंगी, मैं ये करूँगी, मैं वो करूँगी. उस पीरियड में अगर आप उनको ये बताएं कि वो कल को नहीं होंगी, तो दैट वाज वेरी डिफिकल्ट, एंड वी ऑल डिसाइडेड कि नॉट टू टेल हर, एंड वी रिक्वेस्टेड द डॉक्टर ऑल्सो नॉट टू टेल हर.
Prognosis disclosure to the patient is always fraught with uncertainty, uncertainty because the doctors never show how many days, and the uncertainty is always there for the patients. Doctors may often tell the patient what the expected life expectancy is, but I think before the doctors tell the patient, they should determine whether the patient even wants to know. So for one patient, it may be a relief to know that he has 6 months to live. For another, it may be devastating because he just did not want to know. I think the key here is good communication skills. Very often it may be simply by starting, finding out what the patient knows. So the patient may say, I have cancer and I know I'm going to live the next 15 years. Cancer doesn't kill a patient. So that may not be the kind of person you want to tell that you have 6 months to live. On the other hand, if the patient comes in and says, doctor, I know that I'm going to die, just tell me how much time I have because I want to put my things in order, then this is not a person you should lie to. You may tell him that it probably could be 6 months. However, it's never, in black and white.
She agreed to go for surgery. During that period, my son also came, so they were together. So she was confident that I'll be all right. And जब उनको साथ भी ले जा रहे थे अंदर उसमें ऑपरेशन थिएटर में भी व्हील चेयर पे, तो she said मैं ठीक हो जाऊंगी, कोई चिंता नहीं करो आप. She said that and she went inside. She did not look back at that time. Then doctor came outside and he told her that the operation was successful and I was able to remove more than 80% of the tumor. First surgery के बाद जो life थी उनकी, that was very good. She used to roam around, so अपने घर को संभालने लगी थी वो दोबारा से. तो that was the best period she had.
उस टाइम तो आपकी लाइफ बेटर हो ही जाती है with the chemo happening in between and the radiotherapy sessions happening, so your life becomes better.
I think जितना उनकी ज़िंदगी थी उसके बाद जब जो सर्जरी के लिए गई और जितनी उनकी ज़िंदगी उन्होंने जो 4-5 महीने बहुत अच्छी तरह से इस घर में घूम के और सारे हम लोगों के साथ हंस के गुजारे हैं. I think that was worth our efforts. So इसीलिए, और that was the reason कि हम लोग ये चाहते थे कि अगर हम लोगों को 2 दिन भी एक्स्ट्रा मिलते हैं कुछ एक्स्ट्रा काम करने से या एक्स्ट्रा मेडिसिन देने से, तो हम लोग उसी के लिए जाएंगे. तो एक दिन मैंने उनको देखा कि वो हाथ पे कुछ काउंटिंग कर रही थी इस तरह से करके. तो आई वाज सरप्राइज व्हाट इज शी डूइंग. तो मैंने उनसे पूछा कि ये क्या कर रहे हो. तो उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, मैं ये बोल रही हूँ कि मैं स्वस्थ हूँ, मैं स्वस्थ हूँ, मैं स्वस्थ हूँ, मैं स्वस्थ हूँ. तो वो कहती थी कि अगर मैं पॉजिटिव रखूँगी, पॉजिटिव सोचूंगी कि मैं स्वस्थ हूँ तो भगवान मुझे स्वस्थ कर देंगे. So that was the positivity she was having, and she never wanted her illness to affect her children also.
How costly are these?
Very costly. Very costly. We used to pay around 70,000 rupees for
One week
week. So radiotherapy is not so costly, but only the chemo part. That is very costly. The medicines are very costly. The side effects are very costly.
I cannot, I would not even try to understand what dilemma a person would go through when the doctor tells you कि okay इस surgery में इतने पैसे लगेंगे, कीमो में इतना लगेगा, रेडियो में इतना लगेगा, and any person you love that person, but you have to think about money then.
अगर मुझे जितनी मेरी प्रॉपर्टी है, मुझे सब कुछ अपना घर बार सब बेच के, और मुझे ये लगे कि मेरे बच्चे को या मेरी वाइफ को मुझे उसको 15 दिन और एक्स्ट्रा देना है, तो आई विल गो फॉर इट, क्योंकि ज़िंदगी की कोई इट्स प्राइसलेस.
When somebody is confronted with cancer, I mean, it's a ball from the blue. Nobody is prepared for that. They don't know what to do. You go to the hospital. The hospital looks after the patients, with clear attention to the disease, and then prescribes a course of treatment, and it is clearly unaffordable to the vast majority of Indians. So what is the consequence? By the time a surgery is done and a course of radiotherapy is given, the family is in a debt trap. The children drop out of school. Somebody or other has already lost a job because there is nobody to look after the patients. The consequences are phenomenal. It's almost unbelievable.
Coming back to the treatment, was there any side effect?
So later when chemo starts happening, you start to have hair loss. That's one of the symptoms that happens. And I remember the day when she combed her hair. She was standing in front of the mirror. I was sitting on the bed looking at her. I was hoping she would not comb her hair because I knew that it gives a huge hair loss. तो काफी बाल एकदम, I don't know. That was like you can feel sadness, but that was a moment when you could see sadness. So then we got scarves made for her. I used to go to these places and I used to pick up very nice and vibrant prints for her.
I think sometimes you get happiness in very small things. These things didn't matter, but I think somehow it did.
बट उसके बाद थोड़ा 3-4 महीने के बाद थोड़ा सा उनको दिक्कत होने लगी थी, थोड़ा सा वापस दे she started going back to that
Previous stage.
The
doctor called her inside and he told her कि second surgery करनी होगी, and the faith in the doctor was quite a lot on her part. So she went in for the second surgery.
In glioblastoma multiforme, even if you remove 100% of the tumor, this is such an aggressive tumor that we've seen that it comes back in about 18 months to 24 months after surgery, after radiotherapy, after chemotherapy. There are patients who have lived from 5 years to 9 years, but they've undergone repeated surgery and then second line, third line treatments in glioblastoma multiforme. So this is one disease in which we still do not have a sure shot first line treatment.
It's literally GBM is literally a slow death. इसमें आप जो आदमी को तिल करके मरते हुए देखते हैं, उसके 2-3 महीने के बाद जब दोबारा से वो कराया, then the tumor came again.
Came again after second surgery again.
हाँ, ट्यूमर, क्योंकि इसकी नेचर, GBM की नेचर ही इस तरह की, it comes back. तो डॉक्टर सेट के कीमो वगैरह जो भी रेडिएशन हमने की है वो तो इफ़ेक्टिव है नहीं, तो अब कुछ किया नहीं जा सकता. इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ टाइम नाउ. तो आप इनको घर ले जाइए और उसमें जो सिम्टोमेटिक दवाइयाँ दे रहे थे, वो बेक्सोना या और जो दे रहे थे, वो कंटिन्यू की उन्होंने दवाइयाँ, एंड उनको हम घर ले आए थे. लेकिन इम्यूनिटी उनकी धीरे धीरे ख़त्म होती जा रही थी, उसमें कॉम्प्लिकेशंस होनी शुरू हो गई. घर में उनको हैंडल करना
नहीं, घर में एक और भी चीज़ें
Paralysis
होती हैं
है
कि
उसमें।
बेसिकली कई सारी चीज़ें होती हैं घर में। आप लाके यू कैंट जस्ट लीव द पेशेंट और यू कैंट जस्ट फॉलो द गाइडलाइंस दैट द डॉक्टर हैज सेड। उस टाइम उनको बहुत भूख लगती थी,
दर्द हो जाता था उनको, पेन होता था बहुत ज़्यादा।
बिकॉज पैरालिसिस डज नॉट इट्स नोड्स में होता है, वो फुल पैरालिसिस कभी नहीं होता है। सो द पर्सन इज फीलिंग द एंटायर थिंग, हाफ ऑफ योर सेक्शन इज पैरालाइज्ड एंड हाफ ऑफ इट इज़ वर्किंग, ब्लड इज फ्लोइंग। सो वो एक इरिटेशन, एक बेचैनी सी बहुत रहती है।
And because of that, she couldn't fall asleep at all. And it became so bad that she would be really tired, but because of that sensation in her hands and feet, she couldn't go to sleep.
We started exploring faith at that time.
You have to be very sensitive to the requirement of the patient at this time.
It's not your
उनको
belief.
concern,
I might not believe in God, but if the person believes it, it's going to help.
It's a support.
So she वो साईं बाबा को बोलती थी कि मुझे ठीक कर दो, मुझे ठीक कर दो, मुझे ठीक क्यों नहीं करते? Also in the hospital, what we used to do when she was in the hospital, we bought a stereo for her. So in the morning we used to play certain type of music, and you have to be very very sensitive to even the smallest of a person.
We even tried Buddhist chants.
See, spirituality and spiritual distress is something that will affect the experience of an illness for the patient and for the family. And it's okay to say that the spiritual burden is there, but it also has an impact on the patient's physical pain, say for instance. So somebody who is constantly thinking about why has God done this to me, maybe it's my karma or whatever, might have so much distress because of this that his pain, physical pain, might be worsened by it. That's why spiritual distress and spiritual concerns are very much an intrinsic part of caring for a patient.
She was very fond of celebrating Diwali. हर टाइम में उनको बहुत अच्छा लगता था, एंड उस टाइम में उन्होंने कहा कि हम लोग स्पेशली पूजा करवाएं पंडित जी को बुला के अपने घर पे। तो उस टाइम में हमने, बिकॉज हमें नहीं मालूम था कि क्या होने वाला है क्या नहीं होने वाला है, तो हम लोगों ने दिवाली से पहले ही हम लोगों ने दिवाली मनाई, पंडित जी को बुलाया, पूजा कराई अच्छी तरह से, और जितने जिन लोगों को वो चाहती थी कि बुला के उनके साथ वी हैड ए पार्टी एट होम.
We knew that it was that Diwali, this would be the last Diwali, so we went all out, decorated it as we used to.
दिवाली पे इतनी लाइट्स यहाँ लगाई भाई साहब ने, क्योंकि उसका मन था कि मैं घर में खूब अच्छे से दिवाली मनाऊँ, रोशनी करूँ। सत्यनारायण की कथा भी हुई, बल्कि कुछ लोगों ने कहा भी ये क्या हो रहा है, इतनी सीरियस है और यहाँ लाइट्स। तो मैं तो समझ गई थी कि ये सिर्फ उसकी खुशी के लिए करा गया है। वही मैं कह रही हूँ कि भाई साहब और गुड्डू ने, बच्चों ने इतनी उनकी सेवा और एक इच्छा उसकी पूरी कर। हालांकि वो कितना बड़ा मुश्किल हुआ होगा कि ऐसे में इतनी रोशनी करनी, खुशी मनानी, जबकि मालूम है वो इस स्टेज पर है। और वो बहुत खुश थी, बहुत खुश थी उस समय। फैमिली एक हो, मतलब उस समय तो लग रहा था कि पूरी फैमिली एकजुट होके बस एक ही एम है कि उस गुड्डू ने अपनी सर्विस छोड़ दी थी, भाई साहब ने भी छोड़ दी थी, सब सिर्फ एक ही एम रह गया था, बाला।
I knew that she would be fine there because there were people to take care. So we finally took her to the hospital. We don't mind whatever happens. She saw that she was taken care of. Anytime she wanted, the doctor would be there. Anytime she wanted, the nurse would be there. So the much needed confidence and comfort that she got was back in the hospital, because then the physiotherapist, every time they used to visit her, and the frozen shoulder got better and she used to get regular exercise. Then the physiotherapist told us that you should take her on, you put her on the wheelchair. तो हम उनको वार्ड में लेके जाते थे. She used to sit in front of that window that actually used to overlook the Sai Baba Angan that was there, that she really believed in. I think the hospital, I would really thank the hospital, the way they were like a family for us for the last, when she went to the hospital, a terminally ill patient, because their body has shut down, not their mind, not their sensitivities, not their emotions. There are very small things in my daily routine that it's very personal to me, it's very private to a person, that we do every day. If I am not able to do that and if somebody else is doing that, what matters is the dignity with which a person treats you. One time she said that मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता. She even used to be apologetic to the ayas there. She used to be apologetic, बेटा तुम्हें ये करना पड़ता है, मेरे को बिल्कुल नहीं अच्छा लगता.
So what had happened in the last month was the tumor had grown back, and that had grown into the other important regions of the brain, and so her bodily functions had been shutting down gradually, and it finally the tumor grew into the region that controls consciousness, and so for the last month she was in a coma. And I remember the last conversation I had with her. So because of the tumor, she used to grow very drowsy. I spoke to her on the phone for the last time, and she asked me how I was doing, and she was very sleepy. Yeah, I just remember wishing her good night, and she wished me good night, and that was the last I spoke to her. And I think after that she slipped into a coma and she never recovered.
तो हम लोग, मैं, मेरी बिटिया, मेरा बेटा, हम लोग बैठे थे, तो डॉक्टर साहब मॉर्निंग में राउंड में आते थे, तो उन्होंने कहा कि भाई अब नाउ दिस इज़ द टाइम व्हेन शी विल बी लिविंग. अब कुछ नहीं पता, आज हो जाए कल हो जाए, कुछ नहीं है, बट अगर आप नहीं देख पाएँ तो हम इनको आईसीयू में शिफ्ट कर देते हैं. तो हम तीनों का यही डिसीजन था, और मैंने भी डॉक्टर साहब को ये कहा कि डॉक्टर साहब अगर आप उनको ठीक कर सकते हैं तो आप कहीं भी ले जाइए, लेकिन अगर नहीं ठीक हो सकती और यही हम लोगों को 2 महीने में, 3 महीने में, 2-3 दिन में हमने देखना है, तो हम लोग चाहेंगे कि वो हमारे पास ही रहें.
We used to have this machine there which monitors the heartbeat and all that. I can still hear it, but the last day that machine had gone very slow, and it was actually decreasing, so you could actually feel that this wasn't right, this wasn't the normal frequency or normal tone.
We were just standing around her. उनके बेड के, हम तीनों बेड के टाइम में, और we thought that we want to have this time when she was living, we wanted to be with her. हम लोग नहीं चाहते थे उसको बांटना किसी के साथ, तो we were together at that time. That was.
Then we called the doctor, and so the doctor just observed for a while and then removed the oxygen that was attached, and yeah, that's when she breathed the last.
I think nobody should ever see a person die. You actually hear a breath, you're waiting for the next one. I'm still waiting for the next one.
तो अराउंड 6 बजे के करीब it stopped suddenly, and she was no more after 6 o'clock. I'm still not able to accept this actually. in the morning, every day you have to feel that she's not there. You have to tell yourself that she's not there. Still, I'm not able to believe it that it has happened to us. जो जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया कि 11-12 महीने जो हम लोगों ने ये पता होने के बाद कि शी विल नॉट बी हेयर, और उसके बाद 11-12 महीने उनकी केयर करना और उस पीरियड में गुजरना, हमें लगता है कि जो इस तरह के पेशेंट्स हैं या जिनके फैमिली मेम्बर्स को या घर वालों को और सबको जो पता लग जाता है कि ये आदमी जाने वाला है अब, तो उसके बाद किस तरह से उस आदमी से या औरत से किस तरह से ट्रीट करना चाहिए हम लोगों को, और किस तरह से उनको साइकोलॉजिकली, मॉरली और सपोर्ट देनी चाहिए। हम लोगों ने सोचा कि क्यों ना हम एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाएं, तो हम लोगों ने एक फाउंडेशन बनाई है, राजबाला फाउंडेशन, जिसका पर्पज़ ये है कि टर्मिनली इल पेशेंट्स, दैट मीन्स जिनके बारे में हम लोगों को मालूम है कि ये अब नहीं रहेंगे इस दुनिया में, उनको किस तरह की सपोर्ट करनी चाहिए, किस तरह से उनको हेल्प करनी चाहिए, ताकि जो भी उनके पास टाइम है वो उनका अच्छी तरह से उस ज़िंदगी को वो गुजार सके। इस पर्पज़ के लिए हम लोगों ने एक राजबाला फाउंडेशन बनाई है। जब हम लोगों ने फाउंडेशन बनाई और जिसमें ऑब्जेक्टिव जब हम लोगों ने बनाया, मुझे ये नहीं मालूम था कि वी आर एंटरिंग इनटू एन एरिया व्हिच इज़ कॉल्ड पैलिएटिव केयर।
The word palliative care itself originates from the Latin word pallium, which means a sort of cloak or a cover. What it means is, whatever disease you have, palliative care gives you some covering of comfort. Essentially, it's not about curative treatment. Curative treatment, when possible, has to go on, but at the same time, palliative care ensures some quality of life. Like if you have a disease, you do not have to suffer through a year or two of treatment. One should be able to enjoy the life that you have. The person with the disease has several possible domains of suffering. He has the physical problems, which may be sometimes very severe pain, it may be breathlessness, it may be a nasty, foul-smelling, fungating wound, it may be an unsightly tumor. Whatever it is, his physical suffering is identified and is scientifically treated. At the same time, palliative care recognizes that a human being has also emotions. He is a social animal and his relationships with other people, which may be adversely affected by the disease. And we recognize that the person is also his soul. His spiritual well-being is also important, and the suffering is not caused only by the disease. So once you recognize the fact, palliative care tries to analyze the individual elements of the suffering. Pain, the breathlessness, his quarrel with his brother, his difficulty of relating with the children now that he is seen as a disease and not as a person. His problems with God Almighty, maybe even a bit of anger, why did he do this to me? All this is troubling him. And if you only look at the tumor, then you are forgetting 75% of the suffering. So palliative care is about identifying individual elements of suffering, taking away what you can, and improving the quality of life of the patient and the family, because palliative care recognizes that the family of the patient is suffering with the patient, and that's also important.
Often the decision is made not to give very aggressive treatments at the end of life, because those treatments are not going to benefit the patient in terms of increasing his lifespan. It might only prolong the process of dying. So that's really counterproductive. We do not want the patient to just go through an extended dying process. I mean, we are talking here about helping a patient to live the best quality of life. We are not talking about death in that sense. But what makes palliative care relevant, I think, throughout the entire cancer journey is the fact that this is the only one place where we're looking at holistic patient care. You know, even if there is no hope of curing, there is still no end to caring. And in palliative care, we believe that we are adding life to days and not merely days to life.
भगवान मुझे दर्द दे, दुख दे, टेंशन दे, मुझे बर्बाद कर दे, मेरे पीछे पनौती लगा दे। अरे मूर्ख, एक ही लाइन में बोलना था कि बीवी चाहिए।
Human being is not just a container of diseases. The current medical system, which is disease focused, if it becomes person oriented, would identify the elements of suffering from the time he reaches the medical system, treat the disease, but also help him to overcome the other problems. Therefore, the current system, aimed only at the disease, sometimes fails to relieve the suffering and sometimes adds on to the suffering.
Most doctors will not even think about psychological distress and spiritual distress. I mean, for them, it's writing out a prescription, starting an IV line. So, palliative care really takes you back to the days of good old medicine when the doctors would come and sit down with the patient and spend time and really find out what the problems are. So it is in a way, moving away from modern medicine, but using the principles of modern medicine and doing holistic care.
I think we have to educate. We have to educate people that it's not that a person is dying, so the quality of life has to deteriorate. There are a lot of things. The primary thing that is there is your love.
Very often, patients with advanced cancer, about 3/4 of them will have moderate to severe pain. The problem is some of them may require strong opioid medications like morphine. But morphine being an opioid there are problems with availability of morphine. There are also problems about the attitudes to morphine, So doctors may feel, it's an addicting drug. Why should a patient be given morphine? It'll lead to addiction. He might die because of taking morphine. All those are really myths. So the medical fraternity has to be properly informed about the safety and the uses of morphine. So clearing this misconceptions is a major step towards ensuring that people with cancer are not made to suffer with unnecessary pain.
The World Health Organization has named oral morphine as essential drug. There is only a limited number of drugs that they have said are essential. This is one of them. Somebody someday has to stand up and ask, why does your hospital not have this essential drug? Why was my father in pain?
A person with such a terminal illness, each and every moment of, if you can, even this iota of pain you can take away, it's worth it.
In palliative care, what we are trying to do is helping people cope with the situation better. We accept that we cannot change the situation, but we can help them cope better. So we have trained counselors who will sit with the patient and the patient's family, give them enough time, speak to them, allow them to ventilate and so on. Sometimes, if required, we can refer the patients for psychiatric help as well. Most of the treatments for cancer or other diseases are fairly expensive, and in India, where a lot of practice is driven by the revenues that it can attain, palliative medicine doesn't really get much money. So that could have been one of the reasons.
There are 25 lakhs of people with cancer in India, and that's a huge attraction for the industry. I remember for the first time hearing about the healthcare industry from a person who came to talk to me about a new CT scan facility that was coming up in that city. From that time, there was a gradual increase in frequency of the term being heard healthcare industry. And now we have a time when nobody talks about healthcare service anymore. No, this is the crux of it. The suffering that you or I may have to go through tomorrow, because the industry will want to make profit out of my disease and out of my suffering. And if they can make more profit out of my suffering, they are more successful. Our hospitals would like the most expensive toy that they have generated in the West. It is good for the institution status, it's good to show it off. But at that cost, what it does is to give excellent care to a few and maybe cure some of them. But at the same time, a fraction of that cost invested on a few counselors in the hospital, on a little bit of free supply of painkillers to the patients, would have changed lives dramatically. So obvious answer is to control the system so that it is fair to people. But you and I also know that that sort of control is not very easy. The only other solution I can see is that there be a parallel system where either on the government sector or from the point of view of non-government organizations, we are able to offer a system that is based on reality and that is compassionate and humane. Now, I believe that in Kerala, to a very small extent, the palliative care movement has had an impact. Like the person who is nearing the end of life is just not left to the mercy of the industry, but has another stream to go to.
Every district should get a palliative care center, whether small or big, and government should specifically support this. And it should be a precondition while setting up a hospital that they will set up a small palliative care where the NGOs and other social networks will be helping them.
And I believe the only way of achieving that is by increasing the common man's awareness about his rights, about his right over his own body. Now his body is taken over by the industry, but he has to claim it back. People who are dying deserve to die in peace. If we allow them to die in distress, in pain, in suffering, in emotional distress, that's cruel. Not only to the patient, for the whole family, because the family has to live with those memories. If we look at the societal change in the last half century, a few things that became part of our lives is on having nuclear families, to urbanization, and with them we have become a death-denying society. When I was a child, death was around me. I mean, we would see the cattle dying, we would see a grandparent dying, and we were not shooed away. We were there watching when they went through the illness. We saw they being cared for. It was all part of our lives. And today, children grow up into manhood or womanhood without ever seeing a death. Death is the enemy. For us, maybe death was the inevitable consequence of life. Not perhaps loved, but still accepted. No, this is a reality. We have to help our young people to be able to think about death.
Physically, she's not here, but I can feel her. I can feel her. I'm just whatever she has given me, I'm trying to maintain it just so that there is a continuity. The park she has developed, the house, the way she has kept it, the cleanliness she was fond of, those things I'm trying to maintain. So I have more of a become a custodian or a trustee of her legacy. So I'm continuing with that legacy, and I want to continue with this. Secondly, on her behalf, I'm sharing the happiness which is coming to the family now. Both the children are married. We have their extensions now, and we have got very good people, those who have got added to our family. So, I just wanted to feel on our behalf that. Secondly, मैं चाहता हूँ कि what I am today, or the way the life is going on, if I can add some value by my work or my thinking or I'm trying to do that.
Goodbye, here and now. Oh, I have memories to live, memories to live. Goodbye, here and now. Oh, I have memories to live, memories to live. Sleep on, and I will be your dream. Walk on, and I will be the one you see. Remember, and I will be your memory. Live on, and each moment is me. Goodbye, here and now. For I